So, a quick update. First of all, guys, thanks for all your support and kind messages. So much has gone on, and been a bit of a nightmare, to be fair. So the latest is that I was diagnosed with COVID yesterday after a swab, and the swab was only taken because I was arguing about antibiotics. I was on the wrong antibiotic. And every time I took this IV flucloxacillin, I was getting temperatures. And I know my body well enough to know that if the temperature goes up every time you get the antibiotic, and then you control it with paracetamol and whatever, then the next time you take the antibiotic, the temperature goes up again. There's something wrong. Something going on. Something wrong. And I refused to take the antibiotics anymore. And I just basically said, no, not doing it. Which upsets them because they don't like being told by the patients what the patient's going to do with their body. So then they started looking for other reasons for the temperatures and found COVID. Well, and then I had a check. I've been moved into a side room. I'm in a side room so that I don't infect any other people. As it turns out, the COVID's quite minor. There has been a chest X-ray, and on the X-ray there's some dark areas, and there's some fluid on the lung, and then they're calling it sort of COVID, sort of pneumonia, what have you. All sorts of tests have been done. I originally came in with cellulitis on my right leg. It's like a skin infection. And it just went really angry, really quickly, started affecting my kidneys, started affecting my fluid, the body's ability to regulate fluid, got really, really swollen really quickly, got temperatures with it and all the rest of it. And I was admitted to, after being looked after by district nurses for 3 days, I was admitted to hospital last Sunday morning. And so I came in with cellulitis, and then I wasn't looked after. It takes now, you get to A&E, and then you go on to an A&E ward, and then you're in A&E for as long as they need to do the first assessment, and then they put you from A&E onto an assessment ward, and then you go from an assessment ward onto an actual ward. And it takes now probably 3 days to get into a hospital in Birmingham. And all of the people that are any good in A&E have left. So it's literally agency nurses, agency staff, agency doctors, agency registrars. And it's a fucking shit show down there. It's bad. And I basically said to these qualified people that you cannot leave me on a hard hallway trolley for 20 hours or 10 hours or 5 hours. You cannot leave me on this trolley. And who am I? I'm only a spinal injury patient who's been doing this for 20 odd years. And they didn't listen to me. And I said, you can't do this. And I said, I'm at risk. You're hurting me. You can't do it. And then as soon as I got onto the assessment ward, which is better than being in A&E on a trolley, and I actually got onto a bed with a mattress, but it wasn't the right mattress. And I said, again, you cannot leave me on this mattress. And they agreed, and they ordered me what's called a Nimbus, which is basically a electronic sort of undulating sort of mattress. But I wasn't given that mattress for another 24 hours. And then I was assessed by a very competent nurse in the assessment unit, a guy named, I won't mention his name, but he was a competent nurse. And he installed a bit of confidence, and he had a look at sort of my skin where I'd been sitting on this trolley for a long time. Don't forget, I was spiking high temperatures. I was very ill when I came in. So I shouldn't be running my own care. I should be just letting them run my care, but I didn't trust them. And I told them that what they were doing was wrong. Anyway, so long story short, by the time we got a dressing change, I didn't even get proper dressing changes for the first couple of days. But by the time we were on day 3, I think, this was sometime during Tuesday, when they did a dressing change, I got one of that nurse that did the dressing change to take some photographs of my skin, and what I saw absolutely horrified me. And basically, we'd done a significant amount of damage, and no, you don't want to see the photos. They're not nice photos. But we'd done a significant amount of damage to my skin. But that wasn't that wasn't everything that was going on. I still had the cellulitis. I still had other things. We were still spiking temperatures. And again, well, the doctor gave me initially a very, very good antibiotic called vancomycin, which is an excellent antibiotic. It's toxic, but it's effective, and that was bringing my temperatures down. It was doing good work for me, but because it was suspected that I'd had MRSA, for those who don't know, it's the methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. It's the skin bacteria that's resistant to antibiotics. So because I'd had MRSA back in 2015, this doctor had basically put me on a stronger antibiotic, and they were treating me for MRSA, and I didn't have MRSA. Basically, I'd had MRSA in the past, but they swabbed me for MRSA, and those swabs come back negative. And so the story was that you haven't got MRSA, so now you can go back on to flucloxacillin, which is, and I was taking it orally, but now I'm taking IV intravenous, so I've got all of that IV antibiotics, and they were saying that was going to be effective, and for 3.5 full days. Excuse me, that is a little bit of fluid on my lungs. Anyway, so for 3.5 days, every time I take this antibiotic, I feel terrible, and all I'm doing is sleeping, and I'm hardly eating, and they're getting concerned, and the nutritionists are giving me supplements and what have you, because I'm not eating, and I just felt terrible, and and that has gone on, and it just got to the point where I'm saying I was better. And what's amazing these days in these hospitals, they do at least 6 sets of observations a day, and all of those observations go into a computer. All of your temperatures, all of your blood pressures, everything goes into a computer, and it's all on a spreadsheet for all of these guys to see, right? And you'll see a different ward-round doctor every day, but they've got the computers in front of them, and I can basically say to any one of these doctors, look at the numbers, look at the temperatures, look at the correlation between what you're giving me and then what's happening as a result, and that I'm on the wrong antibiotic. And then we got to the weekend la la land. None of yous ever want to be in a hospital on a weekend fucking la la land, because it's chaos here. There's nothing happens on a weekend. There's no doctors. There's literally they just feed you and get through the weekend. If you want to know when people die in hospitals, they die at the weekends, because in the UK, hospitals virtually shut down at the weekend. There's a skeleton staff at best, right? So we did weekend la la land, which nothing happens. Fucking nothing happens in a hospital in a weekend. And I got to the point where I'm like, listen, I'm not playing no more. You're not listening to me. I'm telling you that I'm on the wrong antibiotic, and I ain't taking it no more. So I got to the point where I said, I'm the patient. I decide what goes on my body. No, I'm not taking an antibiotic that's just making me feel ill all the time, and it's not helping me. And at that point, the infection in my leg and all of the swelling had gone down. But I feel terrible. I'm hitting temperatures all the time. And what I came in for, what I initially came in for seems to be under control, amazingly. But then I've got this whole area of damaged skin that I didn't have when I came here, that I'm now dealing with, and then there's something else going on. So I said to him, I'm not taking the antibiotic. You work out, you guys, you've got all your blood cultures, I've given you all the blood you want and all the rest of it. I says, you guys, get the results back, decide what you're treating me for, decide what the next plan of action is, and then we'll decide where we go from there. But I ain't taking anything else until you can come up with some answers. Well, the answer that they come up with was, we've swabbed you for COVID and you got COVID. which was incredible. Okay, so that's my first COVID diagnosis. Actually, I think I had it about. I never saw a doctor over COVID. I never had a vaccine. I never wanted to go anywhere near anybody that was giving out vaccines. I didn't want to go near a vaccination centre. Right, my strategy for getting through COVID was just stay the hell away from anyone that might give me COVID. Well, put it this way, I lived a little bit over COVID, and I didn't follow all of Boris's rules. But, between you and me and the 4 wars, but I was pretty good about not putting other people at risk. But I didn't have the vaccinations, and I survived COVID. I survived it probably better. Well, I survived it barely untouched. I had a bad bout where I was at home struggling. I struggled for a couple of weeks at home, about halfway through in 2020, and that was about all I really suffered with. It was. I never got a diagnosis. I never saw a doctor. Never had anyone come to see me. Never saw a district nurse. Never. My doctor doesn't even know who I am. Right. Anyway, so that aside. So I've now got my first diagnosis of COVID, and along with that came a chest X-ray and some other tests, and they're treating the COVID or COVID stroke pneumonia with steroids. I'm on quite a strong steroid, and but do you know what happened after I stopped taking the antibiotics? No more temperatures. Got the temperatures under control. Got the oxygen saturation under control. Even with COVID, got the temperatures under control. I'm now awake for the first time in a week, able to send you this message, and the doctors are looking at me and I'm saying, told you. Maybe one day you listen to a guy that's been doing this a while and listen to his experience and maybe trust the fact that he might know a little bit about his body that you may not know, right? And they just look at you. They look at you. They don't like that shit. So anyway, now the ball's in their court. I've now got. We changed the dressings today. The wounds that were initially very, very scary are not quite so scary. Now there's a reason for that. When you first look at a really damaged area of skin, you're looking at blood. You're looking at blisters. You're looking at all sorts of stuff that stops you seeing what's going on underneath, how deep it really is, how serious it really is. And then a few days later, some of that goes out of the way and you can get a better assessment. Well, we got a better assessment. It's not quite as terrible as I thought. I thought I'd be here a month. I might be here another week, whatever, depending on what goes on with the other things. The cellulitis is virtually treated. It's gone. And basically my job now is to keep the temperatures down, keep the oxygen saturation up, look after the wound as best as I can by moving around on this bed appropriately, and I know how to do that. I've been on these mattresses before. I've been in actually far stickier situations than this life-threatening. I've been in life-threatening situations with skin and pressure issues. I once had and if you want to look this up, I once had an infection called necrotizing fasciitis, and if you don't know what that is, it's a flesh-eating bacteria, and it wants to kill you. And I've had that. I survived that. Right. So the latest is the COVID. Well, put it this way: you've seen this video? I'm breathing. I'm breathing. So that's what that is. So the COVID's not going to affect me, and then I've got the doctors. They've got to come up with a plan. There's a plan for some steroids, and then a different antibiotic oral, and then maybe an antiviral drug, and then swab for COVID in a few days, and should be clear, and then heal the skin a little bit more so that I can manage it at home and maybe get home. Hopefully in a week, maybe 2. So we'll see. But that's the plan. And I'm actually getting some good care now by some good nurses, some competent nurses. being in the side room. Well, the one blessing about COVID is that you get some serious people involved in your case. Whereas if you're just another Joe on the ward with a relatively mild infection and a bit of a pressure sore, it's pot luck who you get. You don't know who you're going to get. But being here on the side room with a COVID dying, at least people start sort of waking up and smell the coffee and start taking it seriously. Even though it's not even really affecting me, and it's not going to affect me, and it's not going to, it's not going to bother me. I'm a little bit short of breath, but then I've been laid down for a week, so most of my fitness from being up and about every day and working every day, that disappears very quickly. So anyway, the story is maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, I can get out of here. The COVID sounds scary, but it isn't. What is scary about is people that just should know better that are not doing their jobs, and they have not heard the last of me. Those particular individuals, mainly agency, but there's problems with this trust, the NHS, Heartlands Trust, Good Hope and Solihull. There's problems with this trust, and they're cutting corners, and it ain't working. It's not working, and they're going to hear about me from this one, because they could have really, well, they have significantly affected my life, at least for a couple of weeks. And all of you guys that are waiting for stuff, or that have what have you, I can only apologise. So I'm going to end this video now, and I'm going to sort of launch it and what have you. But then I'm going to do another follow-up video, and I'm going to tell you what was happening, which was really exciting, just before all of this happened. And our good friend Steve Spray at Valvonia has come up with something really clever, which I'm going to tell you guys about. It's really exciting. And now that I'm feeling a little bit better, I've got my laptop with me, and assuming I've got all my logins and what have you, I'm going to jump onto Sonic Cables, the website, and I'm going to put some content there. So it's not going to entirely be wasted time. I'm going to update the website with a few things. I've got some files here, and I can do a bit of work. But other than that, thanks everyone for your support. I really appreciate it. I know you don't listen. I don't go on about the disability, and I don't go on about. I'm only interested in building turntables and cables and updating hi-fi and playing with hi-fi. I'm a geek, right? That's all that interests me. I ain't interested in a wheelchair. I ain't interested in disability. I ain't interested in the restrictions. I'm pretty good around my workshop, and I'm pretty good at making the stuff that I make. And if I need a bit of help with something that's heavy, I've got people around me to do that. That's all I'm interested in. All of this, I've hated having to bring the medical stuff to you. But otherwise, I disappear for a month for no reason, and there's no explanation. And I'm sorry, but what I've built, I've worked too hard to build to allow, my whole business to fall through the cracks in the pavement, because I couldn't get the care that I required in a well-funded fucking NHS hospital in one of the richest countries in the world. Yeah, and you still can't get the care. And this trust used to be on top of this. They were one of the pioneers of, looking after patients' skin, and they were so on top of it, and they're not anymore. And it's been a shock to me. Anyway, that's all I got to say. I'll tell you more about sort of up and coming stuff, and then there'll be website updates and. Steve's just thrown a big spanner in the works. I mean, my mains cable range is shot to pieces by something that he's just done, which is really clever, which is fair play to him, because he's... Excuse me. Which is fair play to him, because last month he was buying cables off me, and this month he's turned the tables on me, and I'm buying cables off him again. So that's hilarious. But you got that to look forward. But it's really good. It's really good. It's really exciting. So I'll tell you more about that. But anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for sticking with me. And I'm really difficult to kill. I ain't going anywhere yet. I've got so much exciting stuff to do. So anyway, see you on the other side. I'll have some more updates, and thanks again everybody for all your support. Appreciate you, and bye for now.